Hello there, folks. Welcome back to Speed Street. It is Indy 500 race week. We are here. We are giving you our Indy 500 preview show. We hope you love this. I appreciate everyone who have come up to me. Ton of folks over the last week who have asked for Speed Street stickers, who have asked to say hello, who have told us that we listen to the show. You guys listen to the show. We appreciate you folks. I really do love hearing that. I'm sorry to those that I did not have the stickers for. I did run out of stickers. So a lot of those stickers have been claimed. We got to get some new ones. We got to get some more stickers. But I appreciate all you folks. It's been awesome. There's been a lot that has happened since our last show. Our last show, it honestly feels like an eternity. It was literally a week ago, which is crazy. But that was Alex Palou. And I am sorry that I did not get the YouTube episode. For those who do like to watch on YouTube, I'm sorry that I did not get that episode up. There was no Wi-Fi to track. I'm out there sitting outside the media center trying to get the daily uploads going, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we have a ton to get into. We have IndyCar news to talk about. We saw some fantastic ratings, finally. We got back into the ratings game. Let's be happy about them for once. No one can be depressed now. We had decent ratings from the GP. We had more people watch Indy 500 qualifying than the previous race. Let's talk about how kind of wild that is. The Kyle Larson effect maybe is in full chat. So, Chase, how we doing, man? I mean, a lot of IndyCar to watch. I'm sure you were deep into the internet and deep into the Peacock, just checking it all out. What did you think of it? What are your vibes like right now going into the race?
Look, the block is hot. That's what I got to say. I'm going to tell you, I couldn't be more happy than I am right now because of ratings, which is nice. Yep. It's good to see. No, we're not supposed to really talk about that much, but I think it really just is the magnitude of the race. So aside from that, learned a lot. Don't think I have ever had as much feedback from NASCAR fans of the level of excitement that we are on, seeing Jeff Gordon tweet and videotape Kyle as he's going by like he's like a kid in the candy store.
I love that. It's great. Yeah. Authenticity, just excitement. People love IndyCar racing, the Indy 500. How about that, NASCAR folks? Anyone, folks? This is sweet. What we got going on,
dude? So many NASCAR fans right now. They're hitting me up. I'm getting so many questions. I couldn't be happier. All the folks in the circles and the people on social media. Like last week, the beginning of last week, had a lot of our listeners, and big shout out to y'all, hitting me up on social media, tagging me in photos of the pagoda and everything else. Where you at? I'm like, all right. I need to hustle up. So I'd like to officially announce, as soon as this podcast, we're finished recording, I'm on my way back home to Indiana. Even though I've never lived there, I'm coming home.
Love that. We are going to have Chase here for the Indianapolis 500. It's going to be a great time. If you see him, please say hello to him. Give him a fist bump. Talk about motorsport. We're gonna chat about it. Oh boy, there's a lot to get into, and I
how about love, you, man? You've been ripping it out there. I've been watching you. I've been seeing you. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of Connor car race.
Yeah, we are officially a racing driver again. Thankfully, we got things to complain about, which I love. People love to hear that. We got things, all kinds of stuff that has been happening to us. So let's just kind of get into the practice week that we saw, and honestly. The practice week has made me sad. I won't lie. This is the first race that I've got to do in a long time, and the rain has been an absolute punch in the private area. It's a punch in the gentleman's area. It's been a punch down below the belt. It hurts. It's an area where it hurts because it. I mean, it feels like it's all of a sudden we get to Fast Friday. I looked at Ryan Hunter-Ray, my teammate, and he looked at me. He was like, I cannot believe that we're already here. Like, I feel like we've barely, I can count on one hand, like the amount of like setup changes I've got to do last week for race trim. So it's just going by too fast. I wish we had another week of practice. I wish we had more time to enjoy the festivities. I've hated to see it rain on so many good folks that have come out to the track. Certainly for opening day, that was a tough one. And yeah, for us as certainly as a single entrant as well, there's so much that we had to work through as a team that we did not get to even work through. I mean, the first run that we even did to trim out the car, it was like, oh, cool, here we go. And then we had an upright fail. We had a right front upright bearing, or something in the right front upright fail. And boy, that was a crazy one. I don't suggest that. That was on Friday, Saturday or Thursday evening. But yeah, that was kind of my first feeling, was that I'm sorry that it went so fast. It feels like we barely got to do any laps. Then we have so many tires to use that we have not been able to use because we just haven't got to run much. But for me, it's gone well. We got out there right out the gate, and I do feel like we've been strong. The team has given us a fast car. I think we've been low key on the chart. We haven't got those toe laps. We haven't got the fun toe laps that put you up front, like, oh, the happy-go-lucky, fun, big laps that everyone's like, oh, wow, everyone's really good that's up here. But, like, you look at the toe and you're like, oh, okay, all right. What happened in qualifying? Well, it's still the same people were up front. We knew Penske was going to dominate, right? We knew Penske was going to be a dominant force. But where is Ganassi? Nowhere in the Fast 12. Wild to see. I mean, that is something that, we saw Dixon put up a 2:29 lap as the first practice lap, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Like, no one gives Dixon anything for him getting big toe laps. Oh, it's going to be there it is again. And it's like, where is Scott Dixon? Well, he's in the middle of the field, essentially. So pretty wild to see that. I don't want to take up too much time because we have two great guests that I even forgot to mention already at the beginning of the show, which I have hated to do. So let's before we get deeper into my feelings about the week, we've got two guests on the show. We've got Griffin, who is performing at the Indy 500 Snake Pit, huge musical artist in the electronic music scene. Really excited to have him on the show. He actually reached out. Thank you to IMS for getting us, but he wanted to be. They wanted to be on the show. Love to know that. He's got a new album that he's promoting as well, which is super cool. And we have Nolan Siegel. We have the driver who is not going to be a part of the Indianapolis 500 this weekend, the one man out. But we appreciate this young driver for coming to let us know what was going on and how he felt after qualifying weekend.
Great guy too. Yeah, Chase. We had some great questions for him. Great chat with him. So, we're going to get to those interviews later. And I feel like I could talk about this week for a million miles, but let's just start off with practice. The race trim practice was interesting. Everyone had to try to do as much work as possible in the time that they had. We thought, let me give you my first impression of the tire. First of all, this is a new tire for us, right? The car is a little bit lighter. And shout out us, everyone that lied to us about the track record being broken. It really did not get broken. It was the fastest pole speed ever, though, which is kind of cool. So, we weren't off, but we were kind of off. So, yes, but no. So, we didn't see the 236 mile an hour lap times. No one saw the crazy lap times that everyone, I think, were predicting, which is, again, fascinating. I think that's a combination of tire being harder, so the tire itself doesn't have that speed performance, but not as much wear. So it's just to put in all of these technical terms. There's a lot of new things for us. We're going into the race trim practice, and we're looking okay. Very wind dependent still. That's what I would say. Let's just go right out the gate from the Monday practice yesterday. Super wind dependent. Turns 1 and 2, complete different balance from 3 and 4. All because of, I believe, the wind and the sun. So that is still there. The harder tire does not affect us in the fact that it's now much easier to drive. It just, again, still very different depending on the temperature and the sun and the wind. But what I would say so far is still, when you're deep in the pack, it's tough. It is not going to be a
super overtakey race unless people are making mistakes in the middle of the pack. I would say Chevy has been dominant, but race trim is closer. Race trim is for sure closer. Chevrolet has been fantastic. They have been a great engine partner for us, but also, boom, locked out the front row. Easy. Penske at a mile an hour on everyone. Crazy. So before, hang on, I'm jumping ahead of myself. There's so much to talk about. But practice-wise, the cars that I thought, like, let me just give you a quick, this is my quick 2 cents. Scott McLaughlin, from the cars that I've been around, looks very good. The McLaren cars, all of it. I would say Callum, maybe not as much as Rossi and Pato, but Rossi and Pato look very good from only the cars that I've been around. I have not seen Kyle Larson once on the racetrack. Never even seen him. Not even been close to him. No idea where he's been. I have fist bumped him once. I have a funny story that we can talk about in our 4 minutes of fun segment, but yeah, I have not seen Larson once on the track. I have not seen many of the Andretti cars out on track either. I don't think I've been around Kyle Kirkwood once or Colton Herta, but I've heard that they are fast. Definitely heard that Colton Herta's got a very good race car. He's going to be at the front all day long, I think. But Chase, I'll ask you. You got to watch a little bit of the practices, I assume. Can you give us an idea of what you've seen so far as someone who's been outside looking in? Because obviously I'm not viewing now. I'm in the car. I can see, hey,
right.
Scott McLaughlin made passes. Alex Palou looks very good in race trim. But does he have the raw speed that he needs? I don't know.
I'll say this much. It's about the same as it was in 2021. It's just fascinating to watch the machines, man. It's fascinating to watch the drivers with the talent that's able to cut around the cars at these speeds like that. I think the biggest thing for me, obviously, is Kyle Larson's ease into this car and this form of racing, really. Not so much talking about ovals. We all know he races ovals, but way more about just of how he can handle that car, how he can maneuver it. It just really is a testament to his mindset, the team that's around him. Having Jeff Gordon there.
Love seeing him there. I haven't seen him yet, so he can talk about my shoes and we can chat about it. I haven't got to see him yet, which is a shame. But
I wanted to bring that up to you because I was going to be like, hey, I was like, when I saw that Jeff was there, I was like, this is great for Connor. I was like, Connor's rocking some Jeff Gordon gear this year. He's going to get to see the man himself. He's going to get to let him know what's up. So seeing that whole camp doing what they're doing, all of the people in my circles that are big NASCAR fans that are paying attention, asking questions now, has been great to watch. Scotty Mack doing what he did in the yellow submarine, as they call it, man. And I ended up shooting him a text, and I was just like, of course, all caps, just like mind explosion emojis. Just I'm so stoked for our guy for getting that done, man. Like he just a great dude all around and determined, and it shows, and it showed this weekend. So I just want to give a big shout out to him and getting to see him make history this year. It just feels like and maybe it's because like I've definitely watched the practices in the past, right? This year feels bigger. And I don't know if it's so much the Kyle Larson thing or not, but everything about it, even expanding past Kyle Larson, just feels bigger. It feels more intense. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but just really excited to know that we've got a double entrant. Really excited that we've already seen history broken. And really just the ups and downs, the what was it, Linus getting out there, like the way you're able to overcome things like that at those speeds, at this track and this car, like that takes so much mental strength, dude. So I think let's talk about a testament.
Let's talk about we saw some accidents. We did see some accidents this week. Linus Lundqvist in the wall, Rinus VeeKay in the wall, Marcus Ericsson hard into the wall, Nolan Siegel 2 crash. This is the most. There's been a lot of activity, and we saw Linus Lundqvist. I'm not sure how he lost it so early, but that turn 2 is so difficult. And I got a couple questions about this, but I think turn 2 is definitely the most difficult corner on the track. in this modern era because of how it opens up, how the wind can affect the car so aggressively. Slight bump over the tunnel into turn 2 as well. The cars are so on the limit because you have to drive them on the limit. But Linus getting in the wall, he's starting just in front of me, so they have not really found the raw speed in that car. We saw Marcus Ericsson with a big crash just getting into the curb. When we are fighting for air, when you're in dirty air, you have to get that front wing, even an inch of clear air. And to do that, you have to go lower and lower. You have to challenge that curb, get closer and closer. But you saw what happens when you hit it. And as soon as you hit it, 9 times out of 10, you will crash. That's the exact curb that I hit when I crashed in the 2020 race. I just spun. I didn't hit the wall like he did. And I probably could have saved it, but I got wiped out by Oliver Askew. He also crashed when people were checking up, and he swiped his car into mine. So that took us out. But I know what it's like to hit that curb. It is a brutal feeling. And so that put immediately people on their back foot. Marcus Ericsson's backup car, not even close to as fast as his primary car. Nolan Siegel struggled for speed in the backup car. Linus Lundqvist did not have to go to a backup car. Rinus VeeKay did not have to go to a backup car. They were very lucky. But just so much to talk about. So I want to give you guys an idea of my Fast Friday. We had a ton of practice on Fast Friday, but it was rain stopped a little bit towards the end of the day. There was some slight showers. But for us, we went out Fast Friday. Okay, trim it out. Boom, here we go. Normally, my team decided we were just going to go out where we were going to go out. Sometimes when you get to Fast Friday, we're going to do it trimming in steps. Okay, we'll take all the pieces off the floor. And to dumb this down, to not dumb it down, but just kind of put it in more understandable terms for folks. So the easiest things that we will do to trim out the car for less drag, more speed, we have pieces on the floor. So we've got strakes and barge boards. Barge boards are on the underside of the car, give us more downforce. The strakes give us more downforce, more grip. You got to take those off. That's immediate speed. And then we trim out the rear wing. So that is kind of the immediate things that you can visually see as a trimmed out car. And so we immediately took those off. First run, okay, cool. We had a couple electrical issues where weight jacker couldn't quite get that set up perfectly. We got to run a fast weight jacker. So the weight jacker, we push a button. Every car has this. It lowers the rear down the straight, and then we raise it back up going into the corners. You have to do that every straight to get maximum speed. Some teams do it in different ways. If you watch Pat O'Ward's onboard, he has it as a button that he holds with his left thumb. So when he holds that, the rear is down. As soon as he releases it, the rear goes back up so he can turn. So those are things that we had to get sorted on the first run, but the car was all right. So I thought that I was like, okay, cool. Here we go. Whatever. But when we get things ready for qualifying, you have to cool the car down so much for another run to get a proper read on your speed. So when we did one run, we had to go all the way back to our scale pad, check everything, make sure everything's right, because you're going so fast that it's dangerous, right? You don't want to risk your car. You want to make sure everything's okay. So the team takes time to go into every detail of the car. All right, let's roll back out for another run. Now it's too hot. When it's hot, the conditions aren't great. People are, the track is a little bit busier. You want to make sure you get 4 clear laps. So we only got to do about 10, 12 laps on Fast Friday. It was really not good. But that's all we got to do. We went out for the second run. I turn into turn 1, and the rear is very much loose. I'm like, oh boy. I had to go flat. I got big kick sideways moment into turn 2, and I'm drifting the thing sideways, and I'm like, we got to pit. We're going to crash this thing. So a very confusing feeling, because the entire week long, the car has been very stable. The rear's been underneath me. And when the rear gets away from you, that's the worst thing that you can have happen at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So we had to, again, take the car back, make sure we look at everything. What is going on? What is bringing us into this window? We went out again, and we tried to just basically stabilize the rear. Let's take out a bit of front wing. That's the first thing to do. Let's try to get this car to where I can drive it again. Almost lost it on the warm-up lap. So we're taking the car even further out of the window. Something is wrong. So for the last run of the day, everyone's trying to go out because it had just rained. And I'm like, we get out, Linus Lundqvist screws us by coming out of the pits right in front of us on a four-lap run where we're super trim. Dirty air is terrible when you're trim, and I'm still sliding this thing around. So to put a long story short, because again, I want to get to our guests, but the car is in complete disarray. And so I'm like, okay, something is wrong. That night, my engineer, we go through all the data. We look, usually I said this in an interview, but you got to trust your gut. When you feel something is off, when you feel the car is not producing the grip that it should, normally the driver is right. Now, my team last year didn't like to believe anything I ever said, which is probably why they're doing worse this year than they ever have. But no big deal. Anyway, that's just a small thing. But sometimes the driver can be right. Normally, if it's an intelligent driver who's got a lot of experience, sometimes they are right. Turns out, we look at the data, we found, okay, hey, we're running the car too low. We got the floor out of the window of production of downforce. We were losing about 150 pounds of downforce from the floor in the middle of the corner, therefore causing that issue. 150 pounds of downforce is a lot of downforce, folks. So as soon as I would say our first ever qualifying run where we got everything working correctly was Saturday morning. And that is never usually the case. Normally on Fast Friday, you've got several runs where you're comfortable with, you're okay. A lot of the times teams won't run that practice on the Saturday morning because that has the potential to even slow the car down for your first qualifying run when all the qualifying runs officially happen. But we had to practice because we had essentially no practice yet when everything is correct for the qualifying sim. So when we got out there that Saturday morning, finally put in 4 really good laps, did I think a 2:32 right out the gate, slowed down a little bit because we were just trying to I finally had the car that wasn't trying to kill me. So I was like, oh, cool. All right, now I'm getting more comfortable as a driver. My confidence is back. But where this puts us is slightly behind. Are we comfortable enough? Is it safe enough to trim more for qualifying? And for us, we did not know that yet. We did not know if we had done enough runs to get us into a comfortable window to really take advantage of the full speed that our car had, which Ryan Hunter-Reay was able to show. They did not have as many struggles as we had. They were able to kind of get in a better window earlier on. We were about 1 run behind them. Because when we went out for our first run, I had the same thing happen to me that you saw happen to Kyle Kirkwood in his Fast 6 run. We did not get the weight jacker back for turn 1. So my 3 laps were great. Probably could have had us in the 23rd spot, maybe 21st-ish. But I dropped off so much speed on our last lap because I did not get the weight jacker back in time. We're trying to tune the engine, turn the weight jacker, scrubbed a bunch of speed in turn 1 because I had a ton of understeer. When the weight jacker doesn't get back into its position for the corner, you get a ton of understeer. The car generates a ton of push, a ton of scrub because the rear is still too low. You got to get it back up to attack. So that was our issue on my first run. Admittedly, hey, that's my mistake. I will always say that was my mistake. So boom, I created that for us. That's on me. But hey, we have a whole day to do another run. So
it's just a testament of showing how everything has to go so perfectly right. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, and so that's kind of how our qualifying day started. We had really only got to a position now where it's like, okay, we were comfortable for 4, but it was getting hot. Temperatures are not looking good. So instead of trimming out, we added downforce, where I believe now both of us, my engineer, we look back at it, so we probably should have still run trim for our last run of the day. But turns out, I believe we had the exact same speed in our car that Ryan's car had. It's shown the speed, a couple laps at 2:32 on my last run, easy enough to get us kind of closer to that Fast 12. Had we probably run the same downforce as we did starting the day, probably could have been in the Fast 12 like Ryan, but we were one run behind. And did we have the full confidence back yet to do that? We didn't really think so. We obviously still had to make the show, right? Like, that's still the most important part.
Absolutely.
But as we saw on the last lap of our qualifying run, turn 3, I've lived this turn 3 through my head the last 2 nights. We had a plenum fire, a plenum event, which now everyone is learning about now on the internet. Memes are going around, plenums. Same thing happened to Kyle Larson, to Pato O'Ward, to Christian Rasmussen, Augustine Canapino, Ed Carpenter as well. We're geared for maximum speed to run 2 gears. So when the wind is the way it is, we're 5th, 6th. So run 5th out, get up to 6th, use the mile an hour, get down to 5th to get out of the corners, out of 4 and out of 2. And so everything's going well, but the temperature was rising throughout the day. And so that temperature rise is what causes these issues. And Chevrolet and Honda are both pushing all of their engines to the absolute limit. I mean, Scott Dixon, I think, went through 3 engines. There's been a bunch of people changing engines. But sadly, you know, and I appreciate everything that Chevrolet has done for us. Jim Campbell came out and did apologize to the teams that this did happen to. And we appreciate that because, again, I'm happy to take responsibility for what I did, you know, wrong on the first run. And they were like, hey, you know what? That's on us for the run 2. And hey, that's what happens. We move on together. This is a team effort. We win and lose as a team. And I appreciate Chevrolet. Those guys busted their butts to try to get us back out for a 3rd run, but that just wasn't possible. So, man, it was a darn shame. I'm looking at the lap time. I'm knowing this run is like, boom, we're going to be 16th-ish. Like we're right there. That last lap too, I had made one final bar adjustment and turned into 3, and that thing was turning in nice and sharply. Shouldn't have been scrubbing a ton of speed, kept the consistency high, but downshifted and boom, pop goes the engine. And it's not like the engine explodes, but you get an immediate loss of power. So I don't know what to do. In your mind, you're like, I have to do something because this is a good run. How do I keep this going? And so I downshift to 4th, which actually did clear the issue, and I got right back on the power. But sadly, every moment is important. That lap still ended up only being a 2:28. So therefore, that run was completely irrelevant. So was a real shame for our team because the guys deserve better than we're starting 29th, right? Which sucks. Everyone like, hey, you're looking at the results sheet. All my haters, they love to see it. They're like, oh yeah, get killed. But everyone knows with a real brain and actual intelligence that we were fast enough to be much closer there. We were in the system in the front half of the field, but we do have a tougher day. So
it'll show though in the race, and I feel. And I don't know about you in specific. I don't think I've ever really talked to you about this, but like, I think personally, if I'm a driver and I'm in a situation like that, there's something to me about coming from behind rather than having to maintain something from the front. I know when I'm like, go-karts, my experience, obviously. I'd rather start in the back. I like picking people off, dude, as I go. Like, it's fun. So I don't know, like for you, like, I mean, starting in the back, is that going to be is that a bigger mental challenge for you? I know, like, mechanically maybe, but like mentally, like, do you feel better about being in the back, or would you? It might be a dumb question. Would you rather be up front?
Well, no, it's a fair question. I think a lot of people, would ask this because the race has been won before a couple times from 28th spot. It has not been won from 29th yet, but think of how many times we've seen a driver like Alex Palou. Remember, he had to go all the way to the back after an issue in the pit. Scott Dixon has done the same thing. People have gone all the way to the back. Alex Rossi has started in the last row before, ended up running in the front. We've seen this many times before. So you can win from anywhere on the grid at the Indianapolis 500. I always tell people, did you think Joseph Newgarden was going to win when he started 17th right next to me, or like in the middle of the field last year? We didn't know that, right? Like you think, is qualifying really where it matters? I mean, no, but of course you want to start further forward. It's less work. There's, you got to deal with a little bit more craziness in the back, right? There's pressure. A few more stupid moments that you have to deal with because everyone's trying to get forward, right? You don't want to be that last person. And again, there's going to be someone, you're going to see this in the race, that is, you got Stingray Robb starting higher than he's probably ever started in a motor race in his life, right? And now it's at the biggest race in the world. Those Foyt cars are Penske cars-ish, and he just was able to stand on that thing for 4 laps flat. Congratulations to him for having a wonderful machine. We like not to throw Benjamin Peterson on the bus, but we saw the same thing with Benjamin Peterson. Benjamin Peterson made the fast 12. I think he's a better driver than he's been given. But Benjamin Peterson made the fast 12 with that Foyt car last year. That's huge. Stingray Robb ends up, 15th or 16th, whatever it is, 17th-ish.
Santino 6th, right?
That guy does not have the experience to race with the guys that he's around. I will say that right now. So I'm potentially seeing a situation where when we go green for a long time on Sunday, there's going to be a separation. The first half of the field, there's going to be a pack that loses the draft. And then you're going to be like, okay, we got to get away from that pack as soon as possible. But it's so hard to pass when you're deep in the pack right now. There are going to be people that are stuck behind Stingray or stuck behind Linus or whoever it is who have struggled. There's going to be a car that struggles. Maybe it's a Rahal car as well, even though Rahal are kind of back behind me a little bit still. But there's going to be someone that is struggling, and that's going to separate the field a little bit. So the goal is to try to – it just becomes harder for us coming from the back. But our car, like, literally is a fast car. So that always helps. Race running yesterday, we were strong. I spent a lot of time with the 14 car, buried up the 14 car's rear bumper. Like, there's no bumper, but like that car is running at the front. So again, this is not a situation where we feel like we are going to be struggling. Again, look at Kiffin Simpson. Kiffin Simpson, I do not believe is comfortable enough to run where he is running, but maybe I'm wrong. Again, I will always admit that I'm wrong, but no big deal. We predicted Penske front row lockout. No, this is a Bobby can print the clip. Producer Bobby could find it. Front row lockout for sure was predicted, but
like
these are situations for these rookies that like Kiffin Simpson. He's a very fast car. Took advantage of the conditions in qualifying. You put every car in the morning that ran in the morning in the first 10, they never had to run pretty much the rest of the day essentially. So that was really cool for those guys. Great work. But Kiffin Simpson is going to be one that, again, when you looked at him yesterday running in practice, looked very skittish, looked a little bit not quite as comfortable. I had passed a couple cars, got up to him, and my spotter was like, hey, watch out for that one. It's looking a little bit uncomfortable. So there is going to be a couple different people that we're going to have to get through that we're just going to have to do it methodically. We're going to have to do it on strategy a little bit as well. But we know we have a fast enough car to run in that upper echelon. So it's going to be tough. But from what I've seen, once you get there, that's when it's going to be bravery personified. I believe we have as much physical speed in the car as the Penske cars? I don't think anyone does. I really don't think anyone does right now. I think when you see how hard it was for Alex Rossi to try to trim out and get to that 234, where Scott McLaughlin was, where Joseph Newgarden was, that car was on the limit. And Alex is braver than most people that we know. And the Penske cars just drove around easy. And seeing that, and a lot of people are like, oh, cheating snakes. Well, guess what? Did they get thrown out? No, they're not cheating, guys. Like they're a fast race team. This is Penske. It's going to be like that forever. They got with Foyt. One thing that I don't like is that they didn't thank Michael Cannon. They didn't thank anyone at Foyt who has done that work to make those cars fast. I don't like that at all. They were like, oh, Penske, we've done a lot of work in the winter. It's like, well, you partnered with Foyt, who had the fast cars, and then you got all of their information, and then you used it. So I don't like that there was no acknowledgement at all to the fact that you literally just bought someone's engineer and you got into a team partnership. That I don't like. And I know that people think that I'm going to bat for Penske. I will not. I will say that that's very low of them to not say, hey, thanks to the guys that gave us their secrets. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Chase, what do you think of that?
Well, I mean, as far as that goes, you always want to be grateful for the people that help. Mentioning a name, I think, is good. I mean, even though if they bought into the entity and it technically might be their own now, it still is good to honor a person or an event that took place.
It's a team effort, right? Like, hey,
yeah,
it's a partnership.
AJ Foyt's a big name, man. I mean, that's a huge name. I'm actually, Foyt, I'm a big fan of Foyt Club. I had a really cool, I think about that one time with him and Ari. That was wild. But I will say with Penske, I do want to ask you, and because there's been people talking about this, and I personally would hate to see it, but I feel like it's probably could be a reality. Do you think that we see all three of them work together for the majority of the race, or are they going to get in their heads and try to get up front? I I want to feel like a team effort is so valuable here because it could potentially lead every lap of the race.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about Joseph Newgarden, obviously, defending champion. There's a lot of talk about the innocent Will Power who did not use the boost button when he was not supposed to. Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden are not bus bros anymore, right? So I think there's a lot of, baby tension in that team of like, hey, we want to beat each other, right? Everyone wants to win. You know that. But I don't think there's going to be a working together aspect. But I do believe that it's going to take a monumental effort from everyone else to challenge the Team Penske drivers, and everything still has to go perfect. They have to call the perfect strategy. They have to call the perfect race. They have to do everything right. But
0 mistakes. That's hard. That's hard. Going as fast as y'all are.
Exactly. I just, if you're fourth car back, and if it's Penske 1, 2, 3, I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it, but boy, is that going to take a monumental effort to get by those Penske cars. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what happens. This is the Indy 500. Anything can happen. We've seen people crash. We've seen people, spin on pit lane. We had Tom Blomqvist spin on pit lane. Like there's pit lane accident. There's going to be something that happens. There's going to be a yellow that doesn't work out for someone. Is McLaren going to challenge Penske? I really hope so. Are they going to get into a scuffle? Maybe. I don't know. Marcus Ericsson, who's been at the front the last 2 years, is in the last row. Is he going to be able to do anything? I don't know. So I think we have a lot of storylines to follow. The Ganassi struggle. Is Alex Palou going to work his way up there? I do believe he will. I believe you'll see Alex Palou in the top 5 halfway through the race, and I think he's going to be there. I think the Honda and Chevy balance is going to be closer in race trim. But yeah, we could talk about this for a long time. I wanted to let you guys know how I felt about everything. That's how I'm feeling. Our race car is really good. We had a bit of a right rear leak yesterday. We got up into the top 5 super early on, running a couple race trim runs very early on, and everyone's out there. Everyone's running at the same time. We're in the top 5. I feel good about that. Now, we had to stop running, so then, therefore, other cars start to cycle their way up the timesheets. We end up P14, no big deal. But we had to stop running competitively because we had a bit of a right rear grease leak. There's a bit of just a leak of fluid that we did not want to push. We did not want to sacrifice our fast race car trying to push it. So we could only do pit stop practice at the end of the day there. So that's why we weren't able to kind of stay up in the top 5. But at the time, everyone's running. We're good. So I think we're going to be just fine. I really hope we get in carb day because we'd like to get a couple more changes in. Let's talk about a couple. We mentioned ratings, great ratings for the NBC qualifying show. We're over 1 million people. So again, the Indy 500 hype is real. I love this. I don't know how we don't get 1 million people that watch the races. Still mind blowing. But again, is this the Kyle Larson effect? Maybe it is. But the ratings for the Indy GP were up. They were up from 715K. They're up to 875K. That is good. I think that's happy to be excited about. 100 Days to Indy. Let's talk about that real quick. I am the next episode, I believe. This Friday is an episode where I am going to be a part of it. So if you're going to watch 100 Days to Indy on the CW, please do. Me and Scott Dixon are going to be a big part of this episode. I'm excited about it. My stepdad, Doug, has already seen it. My parents, they did say it was a great episode. Their opinion is very biased, of course. But apparently it is a good episode. So please have a look at it. Just check it out. Give us some support. Ken Griffey Jr., honorary pace car driver. Cool sporting icon. Ken Griffey Jr., I'm not a baseball guy. I know Ken Griffey Jr. What do you think about that?
I'm a baseball guy. I was a baseball kid. It was the only sport that I played growing up, man. I couldn't afford a go-kart. My dad said, "No, sir, you're not doing that." So I played baseball. That was where I went. And so for me, having someone like Ken Griffey, man, like growing up in the era of the Sammy Sosas, Mark McGuire's, Chipper Jones, like Ken Griffey, dude, that was like everybody had the Mariners jersey as a kid, like you wanted to be the Mariners because you wanted to be Griffey. I want to pull I have a Ken Griffey Jr. pit crew card.
There you go.
Yeah, pretty incredible card right there. I'm going to bring it with me. I don't know. I just want to say, hey, man, great job being Ken Griffey. That's all I want to say to him, dude. That's all. And I'll be a happy man.
I love that. Yeah, I'm excited for that as well. We saw Austin Butler, who was Elvis in the Elvis movie. He's going to be there. That's a big celebrity name. Really pumped about that. He was also in a great show that I watched recently. What was that? Did you watch that warplane show on Apple TV? They're about the fighter squadron. You don't remember what that was called, Chase? Did you watch that one?
I've seen the commercial, so I know what you're talking about. I have not gotten to watch it yet, though.
Great warplane show, like World War II bomber squadrons. He was in that show as well. Really enjoyed that one. But that was cool, I think. Great news about the Indy 500. I think there's a lot of hype. We saw some crazy speeds. I really hope that we see that translate to some great ratings. And so let's get into our guests now. I think we've talked a lot about this. I could talk about this all week, but we're trying to make sure that we get to our incredible guests this week. We're going to start first with a performer at the Snake Pit this year. This is going to be a little bit of a different one, but we're going to have two guests on this show, two great interviews for you guys to listen to. It's going to be a longer episode, but I think you guys are going to like it. I like long-form episodes, but let's get first to Griffin, a very, very talented musician, someone you will see in the Snake Pit, someone who is going to experience his very first Indy 500, and you'll be able to hear how excited he is about it. So here we go. Let's chat with Griffin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are extremely lucky to have, this is a two-guest show this week, but guest number one, you will see at the Indianapolis 500 this weekend in the Snake Pit, the very, very famous Snake Pit. I will be there for 17 to 19 minutes, but I don't know if we're going to be timing this correctly, but very, very talented musician of all kinds, a musical producer, everything. Griffin is here. Griffin, thank you so much for being a part of this show. Honestly, this was a super cool opportunity, and we're thankful to have you, man.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. I'm fired up for this weekend. It's gonna be fun.
So I want to talk first about what have you heard about the Snake Pit. I always love, like, I've got to chat with a couple people over the last few years, like when Steve Aoki did it, Zed, a buddy of mine is Deadmau5. I love to hear people's reactions, because a lot of, like, Valentino Khan last year for the first time, he got thrown in last second. And his face when he saw these people at 8 a.m. and what they were doing throughout the entire morning is wild. So what have you heard so far of the Snake Pit, and what are you kind of expecting?
I feel like I'm going to go in a little bit blind. I mean, like, I've talked to a few, like, I know my buddy Elenium did it, I think, last year or the year before. I know it's just like a big party, and it's got that early day drinking vibe to it, which I know from experiencing college, it can get pretty rowdy. So, and I know the other DJs on it they throw down pretty hard. So I'm expecting, like, it to be pretty crazy. I feel like I'm still going to be surprised, but I'm trying to set my expectation that it's going to be a rowdy one.
No, we're excited, man. I think the response, certainly locally and around, the lineup this year is really strong. I think there are some people that are just, I mean, our crowd is going to be, I think, wildly pumped that you guys are here. So I want to tell you a quick story real quick. I actually bought a Griffin hat for my little brother for Christmas. He is probably one of your biggest fans. So while I have purchased something from your website for my brother Christian, he is more pumped than anything. When I told him that I was going to have you on the show, he was really pumped. So he will be there for you. Don't worry.
That's awesome. I love that. Tell him I say what up. Thanks for the support.
I will. Cool. So give us a quick, when you started this, there was Mackenzie, we have maybe some mutual friends, but you started as at a different name, right? Like back in the day, you might have started, what was it, White Rabbit or something? What was your original Panda? White Panda?
I was in a mashup group back in my early days. Yeah,
and that's how it kind of got started. That kind of ignited your love for music, and you play piano as well, right?
Yeah. So I grew up playing piano since I was 7, like classical music, and then when I was in middle school, I picked up the guitar, and I got sort of into like the punk, pop, rock, like kind of scene, and was like jamming with friends in my basement and stuff like that, or my garage. But I've always been into music, and then I got to school and I got to college, and I fell in love with dance music. Really, like all these acts, like Avicii, deadmau5, you mentioned earlier, Swedish House Mafia. They were all making this music. I was like blown away. I was like, I didn't even know electronic music could sound like this. And Skrillex is another one where I was amazed at it. And I started going to raves in school and just getting really into the scene, going to EDC and stuff like that, which I just played actually yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, and then I just started trying to like learn how to make dance music, kind of use my knowledge of music theory and piano guitar background to sort of like make the music and whatnot. And then was doing that other project for a little while, and then I decided I wanted to sort of do my own thing, like create my own music, and started uploading stuff to SoundCloud with literally zero expectation. And I just would wake up the next morning and like all these streams started coming in, and all these labels started hitting me up being like, hey, can you remix this artist for this song and this song? And they're like, we'll pay you like, $500 for a remix. And I was like, what? No way. Yeah. And like at that time, it was like the coolest thing ever. And then, yeah, it just kind of like slowly grew out of that. And I signed to a label, started putting out albums, and just been kind of going at it since. And I haven't looked back. It's been an amazing ride so far.
No, I love to hear it. Honestly, your music is tremendous. I think I myself love that the whole genre that you're involved in, and the energy that music, I think, gets out of people is super. It's fascinating. Like the crowd energy at these festivals are I think a level of energy that most people might never experience until they go there. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think there's just nothing like being in a huge like rave concert setting with thousands of people all just like in unison, feeling like good vibes, the energy of the music and the energy, like the synergy of the crowd and DJ together. It's honestly like it's a magical feeling to be on both sides, really, like being in the crowd and the pit. I think that's how a lot of people fall in love with dance music, to be honest, is that like concert rave experience. It's really just, it's unlike anything else. And it's a beautiful community, the dance community. So I'm very fortunate to be a part of it, and I don't take it for granted at all.
Well, I can't wait till you see our crowd experience this weekend, because there's going to be a ton of people, and it's going to be awesome. But let's talk about your new album. So Pulse coming out, very excited. I mean, you got a lot of big names. Rita Ora, she's got a very cool voice, very unique voice. Armin van Buuren, I mean, everyone knows who Armin van Buuren is. That's incredible. Tell us about how do you feel about this one? Is this the best one yet? Are we excited? What are we thinking of it?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Is it the best one yet? I don't want to jinx it or anything. I'm very proud of it. I think it's the most cohesive album I've ever put together. This is the first time I really had sort of like a game plan and vision for what I wanted the album to be, what I wanted it to sound like, what I wanted people feel, what I wanted people to feel like when they listen to it. So it feels very cohesive, and I push myself as an artist, I think, as far as I've gone from a production standpoint, sonically and just technically. So I'm really proud of it. It's almost done. I'm like 95% there. I'm doing like the last tweaks, which is kind of half the battle, to be honest. But feeling really good about it. Excited to see what people think. I'm going to be playing a lot of tracks out this festival season and this summer, and then launching into a big tour in the fall. So it's going to be a pretty busy 6 months here, but I'm looking forward to it.
Heck yeah, great summer. Chase, go ahead. I'll let you get in here.
Yeah, big music fest guy right here, Griffin. Also, shout out to you for making Heading Home. I probably heard that song like a million times in the car. My wife and my kid, they love it, and I'm a big fan of it now too because of that. So thank you.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Appreciate that. This is my first original song ever, so that's a throwback right there, but I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, my music library on Spotify is so ADHD, it's not even funny. So like I'm all over the place, but EDM has my heart. I started out myself. I remember buying a Tractor Control S2, and I thought I was like the man, playing at the local club. Didn't get to your level, but shout out to the old Ricky Rage, aka DJ Ricky Rage,
nice.
In another life. I wanted to talk to you. So this weekend, the Snake Pit is obviously something that I personally have never been to or seen. I've seen it from the stands of IMS. I've seen everything that's happening from that place, but the view that you're going to be getting, and knowing that there's a race happening around you has to probably be one of the coolest things that you've went through. And it kind of made me want to ask you, the Indy 500, hard race, a lot of pressure. What's one song that you've put together in your lifetime that put the pressure on you? What was your greatest race of a song? This is what I want to know.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Tough one, yeah.
I mean, Tie Me Down was probably one. I mean, I would say just in terms of the sheer perseverance and time that it took to put that record together. I mean, I wrote it and put it together fairly quickly, but I had clearance issues for maybe a year and a half on that record and trying to get the right featured vocalist to sing on it. I went through so many artists. That song almost came out and it didn't come out 3 different times. And it was a very up and down roller coaster of 18 months to get that song out. So I would say in terms of persevering and fighting through it and working, knowing that at the end of the day, once it comes out, it's going to be worth it and a big song. But needing to get through all the hurdles to get through it. That was a marathon. So that's the first one that comes to mind for sure.
Well, here's your trophy today for Tie Me Down. Congratulations.
Thank you. I will take it.
That's awesome. Hey, so I don't know if you know this, but we talked about the race. You are actually on my race helmet. Every year I put all of the Snake Pit artists on my helmet. And I try to get all of them to sign it before I race. Because I go into the Snake Pit for about I'm there 9:50 to 10:10. I got a 20-minute window in my schedule that morning before the race. So nice. I will show it to you now. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the back of my helmet, and you are there.
No way.
I don't know if you can see it, but the whole
that's so fire.
Yeah. So I have a Lucky Charms leprechaun on the back of every helmet because that's just funny. And so if you are there, if we happen to cross paths at the same time, I don't know when you're playing yet, but I would love for you to sign it before the race.
I think I'm on 10:45 or something like that.
Well, if you're there slightly early, then I will try to find you, and I will get you to sign it if you would like to, because that's been my fun thing.
I will try my hardest. I'm coming from Miami the night before. I got a late night at Miami Live. I think I'm done at 3:30, and then I'm gonna get an hour of sleep, and then we're taking the plane up. So, and I'll probably just go straight there. Honestly, if you're gonna be there on site, I'll just head there straight on site, and we'll do it there.
Grind, don't stop.
So I've still yet to get every single artist. There's a couple years I've got 4 of the 5. And I'm still looking for Adventure Club didn't sign it. I'm still looking for them somewhere. I got to find them somewhere. There was 1 of the 5. But yeah,
it's show up with a helmet to their concerts.
And see, that I feel would be weird. So I don't want to be that guy that shows up with hey, I know you guys don't know me, but we kind of participated in that race, but here you go. So anyway, hopefully this year might be the year.
This is the year. I feel it for you, man. I'm feeling the energy. It's going to happen.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely
Great
love
group.
it. Let's talk a little bit about the sports. I know that you're into sports, right? You are a sports guy, but talk about, I guess, what sports you're into the most, and honestly, let us know. Hey, have you watched the Indy 500 before? Because look, we're trying to get this sport out to more and more people. The Indy 500, I think people know what it is, but the IndyCar Series right now, comparing it to Formula One and NASCAR, everyone knows Formula One because it's cool to know right now, and everyone knows NASCAR because that's America's pastime. You know what I mean? So there's that. But tell us kind of a little bit about your sporting atmosphere right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very into golf personally. That's my obsession at the moment. I picked it up in 2020 when I didn't have a job for a year, and I didn't know what to do. So I bought a house out here in Palm Springs and just been golfing nonstop.
Who's your golfer? Are you a Scotty Scheffler guy? Are we?
I do. That he went to jail. He's unreal, man. He's pretty unreal. Will Zalatoris is my guy. He's probably my closest friend of any of the tour players. So I got to rep him. But I do like Scotty too. I mean, it's insane how good that guy is. This guy's
wild.
It was a wild weekend last weekend with what happened to him. So I like pulling for the guy. I like all the guys. They're all super nice, honestly. And it's just like, I don't know if you've ever played with a pro, but it's the craziest thing how good they are. It's just like,
we gotta link you
they
up
make
with
it look
Scott
so
McLaughlin,
easy. It's the hardest game of all time.
We gotta link you up with Scott McLaughlin.
Incredible. Yeah, there's a couple drivers that are good golfers. That they definitely like, because there's a golf course at the racetrack, so you'll see it when you come in. But we got 4 holes in the inside of the racetrack, and then the rest of the 18 are just outside of it. So,
oh wow,
just saying, you'll see when you get there.
I love that. But yeah, I mean, outside of golf, I grew up like watching a lot of the main sports. Like I'm from the Bay Area, so I rep like the Warriors, the Sharks, hockey, and Giants, 49ers, and stuff like that. And in terms of like the racing stuff, I mean, I've gone a little bit into F1 recently. Like I got to go to the F1 Miami last year, and which was really cool. I've yet to go to an IndyCar race or NASCAR, but it's so cool being around just those machines, like even just being, at the F1, like being in the pit and stuff and just looking at like the the engineering marvel that these cars are, and just like how fast you guys go. It's like, it's insane. So I'm actually really I'm sticking around for the race because I like,
oh, perfect.
I gotta check it out while I'm there. Like I'm so fired up to see like the environment and watch you guys just do your thing. It's whenever I get a chance to see anybody do something at the highest level, professional level, like I gotta check it out because it's so like fascinating to see, people at the best at their craft do their thing.
See, I completely agree. I love to I'm into sports of all kinds, right? I'd love to play golf now, but watch basketball, and football religiously. Love playoff hockey, and I respect those who. Basically, what I've learned is when you meet professionals, and even if it could be music, it could be sports, it could be whatever, but if they've dedicated their whole lives to like being the best at their craft, it's really cool to interact with those folks. I feel like 100%. And just kind of just learn a bit of something, and I think you'll be impressed. I think the funniest thing is when I've had folks on this show before who might be actors or musicians or whoever it is, I love talking to them after they've been to their first race because it's a great like, wow, we had no idea, or that was like crazier. So we'll do this interview again in a couple weeks time, and then we'll get your first reaction to it.
I love that.
But yeah, I love that you're staying for the race. I think you're going to enjoy it. You're going to be well taken care of. A lot of nice folks here in the Midwest. Quickly back to music, though. I have a very interesting question that I would love to know. Who would be on your list of folks in the future that you want to work with? Like who is it for you that whether it's a singer, a songwriter, or anyone in general, like do you have a list of like, hey, that would be sweet to do a song with so and so, or is that or have you already done it? Have you kind of already worked with who you want to work with?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I've been very fortunate to work with super talented producers and writers and vocalists. Like I would never have guessed, that I'd be working with some of these artists like Brian Tedder, even like writing a record with him and putting out a song with him. Like if you asked me 10 years ago if that was even a remote possibility, I would have said no way, So I'm fortunate to this point, have been able to work with incredible artists. Armin van Buuren is another one. Like that's how he's like one of the guys that got me into raves. Like I would never have thought. I was like pinching myself the whole time in the studio. Just like I can't believe like we're making a record right now.
So cool.
But yeah, but that being said, like there's so many other artists out there, and there's so many talented people that I'd love to work with in the future. I mean, like in terms of dance music producers, I feel like Calvin Harris is just like the biggest hit maker of our generation. So it would just be incredible to just like see how his mind works, what it's like to be in the studio with him. On the vocalist, I mean, I love Dua Lipa's voice. I love that she kind of like does the pop thing, but also dabbles with dance music and electronic music. So I feel like that'd be cool. Using like The Weeknd on a record would be insane. Jamie XX is like a more like indie electronic producer that I've loved his whole entire career. So it'd be cool to get in with him. I could name tons of people, man. Like there's so much talent out there. It'd be very cool to collaborate with those people though.
That's awesome. Chase, do you have one more here for Griffin?
Yeah, so we're talking about, the sports and music combination. I'm a big believer in the two merged together. There's something really special, even like watching, for me, a lot of people like to watch a race, listen to some commentary. It's very important. I like throwing on some music. I like to just watch them run. I like to listen to some music, watch them just kind of battle it out. That's my way to go. But I'm also really big in the drip game too. So I like to do sports crossovers of different types of events. And I guess I kind of want to know, with you being, a golf guy, maybe you have some jerseys, some other type of memorabilia, clothing that you're wearing. Like, well, what's the drip game going to look like when you're at the snake pit? Are we rocking a jersey? Are we doing some kind of sports crossovers? Are we wearing a nice polo? What are we doing?
I haven't even gone that far yet. I mean, I'll probably rock the jersey of some kind, either my new like Pulse jersey that I'm designing right now, or like one of the ones I wore last festival season. That probably makes the most sense, just because it is kind of like, it's like the baseball jersey style, so it's tied into the sports. But maybe I should get like a racing fit on or something like that. It'd be tight.
I think you're gonna get, from what I've seen, all the artists are either given like their own race suits or helmets.
Oh, no way?
Like I do believe that I don't know if I'm spoiling any secrets, but I've seen and I hope that they do, because if they don't, now I feel like I've spoiled Christmas. But like we
have to give him one now.
I do believe that they will take care of you. You'll get you some sort of cool memento. Because Elenium, when he did it, I actually got to be on stage with him, and he was wearing a full race suit and helmet. And I also come over in my race suit, so we kind of looked like clowns up there, but it was very fun. It was very enjoyable.
I love
really
that.
fast Daft Punk.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We appreciate you being here. I hope that after this weekend, you come away with a whole new experience of Indianapolis, of the Indy 500. I think, it is. I think your mind will be blown when you see how many people are here, not only for the snake pit, but for the actual race as well.
Yeah.
So I love that you're getting to stay for the race too, because sometimes people have to leave. I get it.
I know. I actually had an earlier flight, and I purposely was like, nah, I got to see this. Like I want to dedicate the time to like experience this fully. Cause I just, I'm so busy, but there's certain opportunities to like be in a cool experience that I don't think I ever would have had the opportunity to be here, otherwise. So I really want to take advantage of it and soak it all in. And cause it looks amazing from you guys. You're even hyping it. You guys are hyping it up even more for me. Like I'm fired up after this to go check it out. So I gotta stay and soak it all in.
I love that. Well, I will probably be there when you were there. It's my tradition. I've gone now for several years. That's like, people always said, oh, that's like probably bad for your performance. Like if you're going over there for 15 minutes to party. I'm like, I'm not like drinking and partying. I'm literally just going to see it. And then now the last 4 years have been all my best races, and I'm still going. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm gonna keep on going. But anyway, Griffin, thank you so much. We've got summer singles that are going to be sweet. Magic, Last of Us. What took you so long with Armin van Buuren? Some incredible. I'm excited. Can't wait to be blasting those in my life. And see you on race morning of the Indianapolis 500 in the snake pit. If you don't have your tickets for the snake pit yet, you're probably a psychopath. I don't know why you don't have those yet. So get them right now. Griffin, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Awesome chat there with Griffin. I hope that people will give that a listen. I'm sure there are people that probably were like, oh, I'm just going to skip through this and get to the racing driver interview. But cool to have people on from different realms of the world. Professionals in their own realms. Really excited to have had a chance. My little brother is Griffin's like biggest fan, so that was really cool for us. What do you think, Chase?
No, dude, great guy. I think all the golfers that listen to this program now have a new EDM artist to rally behind.
There you go. Yeah, big golf guy.
That's good. No, dude, I had no clue that Griffin performed the song that I talked about until he came on, and I'm like, holy crap, because like literally my kid was like addicted to that song. My wife loves it. I love it. And then you go back into his whole catalog, man, and it's just like when you look at a musician, you're talking about professionals in their own right. Like, you can appreciate the work ethic and find similarities between athletes, musicians, anybody that is the top of the level of their craft. So I loved it, and I think maybe more down the road. We do have Iowa coming up. There's going to be some acts there.
Big acts, yeah, exactly. So anyway, great to have Griffin on. Appreciate his team for setting that up for us, and everyone at IMS for helping with us with that too. Buy your tickets to Indy 500 if you haven't yet. They're going to sell out, I believe. It's going to be amazing. Before we get to our next driver, our driver interview of the week, this is kind of like going into our bit of 4 minutes of fun for the 4-time Indy 500 champions. We're not going to officially do that because this is a longer episode, but this is kind of a fun one. A lot of people ask, "Oh, Connor, what's going on in the bus lot? I don't know if I'm going to go back. I'm at my house right now. Maybe something's going to be vandalized. Maybe I'm going to have nothing left in my bus. I don't know. Maybe something's going on there." But dang. I did get a text yesterday morning on the way to the track. I'm just trundling along, on my way to the track. Bing bong, here we go. Get into the track. Oh, Kyle Larson. I got a text from Kyle Larson. That doesn't happen very often, if at all. And I read the text. It says, "I'm guessing you guys have my scooter somewhere," with a question mark and a smiley face emoji. What? I am immediately laughing. Kyle Larson's scooter is gone. I don't know where it is.
Somebody stole his scooter.
Somebody stole a scooter.
No.
That's very basic pranks, so that's not me. I'm not a basic prank guy. So I would not steal a scooter. But I responded with, "I can't say that I was involved. I would say there are many folks in your own camp that could be guilty first." I mean, let's list who's in his camp. TK, Tony Kanaan, absolute prankster. Alex Rossi, absolute prankster. So he responded with, "I figured." He asked his wife, Caitlin, where it went, and she kind of smirked. So I don't know what, maybe she was involved, but there is some activity that has gone on in the bus lot. Kyle Larson's scooter has been, I don't know where it is. I've still not seen it.
Scootergate.
I don't know if he's got it back. Scootergate is in full effect. So I don't know if Kyle Larson ever got his scooter back. I did not get to talk to him in person yet because he's too famous, I think, to talk to.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this when I get there. We're going to go on a mystery solving quest, dude.
We got to find Kyle Larson's scooter. So I don't know if it's been found. I didn't see any tweets about it, but if you listen to this show, now you know. So anyway,
already won. That
was my quick story, quick intermission between our interviews. I hope that you listened to that and didn't just kind of skip forward at your little skip buttons. But with that, wanted to tell that story before we get to Nolan Siegel. So Nolan Siegel, appreciate him for being here. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. He's a 19-year-old young driver. I mean, this kid is got a long future in front of him. Gave it everything he had, trying to make the Indy 500, and came up just short. So Nolan Siegel, we appreciate him. Here's his interview. I hope you guys enjoy it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our second guest of the show. Nolan, I don't think I told you this, but you are the second guest. This is a stacked show today. We have the 19-year-old IndyCar driver and Indy NXT driver. Nolan Siegel is with us. Nolan, we appreciate you being here. We know it was a tough weekend for you, but I think this is a great opportunity to just let people know so many different things about your weekend, about what went into it, the whole week in general, what you experienced. We appreciate you being on the show, man. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Well, I've been better, to be honest. But all things considered, I'm feeling good. So thanks for having me.
No problem, man. I think when we look back at the week, I thought it was a very difficult week because of the weather. I still feel like this is the quickest the month of May has ever gone by for me, and I've done 11 of them now. I'm working on the 11th, and it just feels like we barely even got out there. And for a rookie coming into this race, that's even harder. What did you think? Did you think that it was like you barely even got out there? You didn't really get to experience a ton? What did it kind of all of a sudden you were like, shoot, here we are, Fast Friday, and then, oh my gosh, we're upside down. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it all went by pretty quick. It started with the open test that got rained out, right? Luckily, I got through the ROP, but like barely got through the ROP there. Came out, and we knew it was going to rain all day. So essentially, our plan was just like accelerate the learning by putting me in the most difficult possible situation. So it was like, just finish the ROP, find a 15-car pack, and send me in the middle of it.
Tough. I don't even like that now. It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd end up, like in the middle of, 2 Penske's and 3 Ganassi's, and like, here I am,
Yeah.
But no, it was good. Like, felt like I got going. It was all right. Survived all that. Got comfortable in traffic. And then, we turned up the boost. Had a few issues. A few runs that got aborted. And, I think as much as you talk about not being pressured by anything and not feeling like you have to get anything done quickly. Like, we'd already boarded a couple runs, felt like I wanted to do a run before qualifying. We had some issues with the car that made it quite difficult to drive that we didn't know about at the time. So yeah, tried to do, a full run on Fast Friday, ended upside down, which was not ideal. And then obviously that cut down the time even more. Went Saturday. Actually, I felt like Saturday I did the most driving of any day. So
there you go.
That was good, I guess.
Yeah.
But not an ideal situation.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about, like, I think the practice stuff almost becomes, a little bit of a thing of the past. But when you get to Fast Friday and the boost does turn up, it is sketchy. Like it is tough. Now, I think a lot of people, like I like Dale a lot, driven for Dale, know that group, a lot of great people on your crew there as well. I've worked with them before. Some of those guys, I'm trying to figure out a best way to answer this, but like a lot of people would have immediately thought you guys are probably going to be the ones that are fighting to get in the race. Now, we saw that was the case, right? Like we know that it's tough. You guys are going up against the Rahal Letterman Lanigan team, which is 4 cars, maximum support, tons of sponsorship. They got enough logos to sink a boat. You know what I mean? Like they got everything out there. Yeah. And in reality, you weren't that far off those guys. Like it was getting very close. But when you went out there on Fast Friday, was it loose? You're like, I don't know if I can turn this car as well as, or were you just trying to find the right amount of turn? What was it for you as a rookie that you felt you needed? Was it just an instability in the rear? Was it not? You knew you had to be flat, but you couldn't quite trust it. What was the feeling from your perspective?
Yeah, well, so going back a couple of days before that, we'd been super comfortable. Like Catherine and I both thought, the thing's just a little bound up, a little bit understeer, like. So it wasn't crazy fast, but we were both like, this is going to be super comfortable, easily in the race, good to go. Done. Turned up the boost. That was not the case anymore. We were both very free. So it was not in a comfortable window anymore. But no, like I had, there were great people behind me. I was lucky to work with a great group of people. Catherine had a lot of experience as well, had experience with a bunch of different teams. And we worked through it and got to a point where it was, a little bit easier to drive on Saturday. But yeah, on Friday, I hadn't really gotten a feel for it. I'd done a couple of like 1-lap runs that had to get aborted because of traffic. And as you know, every run you basically just trim. So it'd be like 1 lap, how is it? It's hard to tell. Okay, well, let's trim. And
that's tough because like to share, right? Like to be honest with you, we never trimmed the entire Fast Friday. Like we went out at nothing on the floor and -2. Right. And so that was kind of where, so I just try to put this in people's perspective, right? Our car had the speed, like, and a lot of these cars that maybe don't have the speed, you have to go through a pretty aggressive trim step situation. And when you gain enough experience, like for me, we just started at the most trim. Like we went from okay, race downforce 2, nothing on the floor, no strakes, no barge boards, -2. Okay, cool. And there we go. Whereas for you as a rookie, you got to go through those steps of like, okay, maybe we have the strakes on it first. Maybe we get the rear wing trimmed out a little bit. Could you feel every step that you trim? You're like, okay, now I do see where this is coming from. I do see how hard this is. And this is not to throw anyone under bus either. Like we know this is hard in general. I'm just trying to get, your honest feelings as like, hey, like people love to know what we as drivers, I think, really feel in the car.
Yeah. And for me, again, before we turned up the boost, we'd done some qualifying runs. We tried to get it into a point where it was a little less bound up, and we were so comfortable that it was easy. Like every trim step actually felt better and easier to drive because it just like made the car feel a little bit more lively and opened it up a bit, like it actually felt like it accelerated off the corner. And I was like, oh man, this is really good.
It's nice. Yeah.
Again, turned up the boost. And that all kind of changed where, again, like if I were you, I'm sure that there would be a different approach because you have so much experience and like, you know what it's supposed to feel like. You've qualified for this race plenty of times. You've done well at this race. You've led this race. Like there's trust there. I think it's hard to, if I put myself in, the engineer's shoes or Charlie's shoes, and you can't give me that right away. Right. So we had to start.
Exactly. You have to go step by step. I respect that. Yeah.
Right. So we went step by step. But yeah, obviously didn't get to after the crash. We didn't get to keep working through that. So that became Saturday when we started working through that. Right. So we then went back to something really comfortable to get me back into it. It took me one run to get back into it on Saturday to get back to flat. And then every run trimmed and trimmed and trimmed. And I felt like Sunday morning, to be honest, well, the first run of Sunday qualifying, like that was balance-wise, felt pretty maximized, like started free, had enough room on the tools, picked up a little bit of push, like could work the tools to get it out of it. And by the end of the run, like felt like I came off 4 and like did a big 4-wheel slide, like just out. It felt pretty maximized and just wasn't crazy fast, right? So that made it tough. So then the second run on Sunday, when you need half a mile an hour and it's already maximized, they asked me, right, to give them, like they said, we have to do another run, we need half a mile an hour, can we trim? And like if we didn't trim, we weren't going to do anything. So of course I said yes, trim it out, like send it, right? what choice do you have? So
it's tough, man, because like to put this again in perspective, I like to let people know this. You were literally just with that. I honestly, when I saw your 4 laps, you like at 2:29.5, I'm like, I think that might be good enough because
that's what I thought.
It was a half mile an hour. Like that is so small, right? We were looking at like, man, if you could have got 2 laps just above 2:30, right? Like you're in with the fight because Marcus Ericsson is getting down in the 2:29s as well. So you really were not that far, and that's what I think people. When you have, I would say, much less resources, much less information than a team like Andretti, you're fighting with a powerhouse to get into the race, right? Yep. You're fighting with Graham Rahal, Marcus Ericsson to get in the race. Like these are not nobodies, right? So that's got to be a wild feeling, and to have to just go that extra step, you have to do it. It's very hard. And when you went out there, I mean, what was your body feeling like? Well, you're like, you're a young dude. Like, and I was not doing this at 19. My first Indy 500, I was 21, and I put the thing upside down too in practice. Like I rolled that thing up on its side, flipped it upside down. I know exactly how that feels. Like it's hard. It's hard to come back. And then I did fight for that last row when in my rookie year. I did make it, but like. I know what that fight is like. Like I've been on that last row show like a couple different times. So what was your inner soul feeling like? I'm going to let Chase get in here too, because I've just enjoyed talking with you about this because I love just letting people know how really hard this is. I was going to say a curse word, but I don't want to curse. I don't want to say bad words, but it's really hard to do this. And what was your soul feeling as you're like, I'm either going for it, or I might go to the hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I finished that first run and I was like, oh boy, I really don't want to do that again. Like,
yeah, it's hard.
I came across the line and I was like, I want to get out. I want to be done. Like that. I didn't. Yeah. No likey. Like not. Yeah.
Look queasy.
Yeah.
It's so. Yeah, I came in. I told them that I was like, guys, I don't want to do that again. But no, like watching. Then it's tough because I was first, right? So like, then watched Marcus go out, I think it was after that. And he aborted on lap 3.
Yeah.
Like I saw him come by and downshift into 1. And I was like, oh, okay, we might be okay here, right? And then Kat went faster, which was kind of expected. She'd been quicker the entire time. But no, I think, it is cool to look back on, given we are a much smaller team than Rahal, right? And to watch Graham and feel like, I thought that hopefully Graham would be one that we were close to, which again, like looking back on now is actually pretty cool to think that with what we had and, compared to the resources that Rahal has, that like everyone at Coin did an amazing job. We had a lot of people on our car that, it was their first Indy 500 too. And we were all kind of going through together and learning together. And, we've gotten really close over the past season. And it was cool to go into it with all those guys and feel like we were competing with Graham. Ultimately, they pulled it together. They did a good job, as, you would expect that they would do.
As they should. Yeah. As they should.
Well, like there's no way to go into it like, expecting Graham to mess it up or expecting anyone at that team to mess it up. Like they did a good job and they're going to do a good job.
You're at the highest level. So yeah, you're at the highest level. This is it.
But like, no, looking back on it, I feel like we did what we could and everyone on the team did what they could. And I think they can be proud of how close we got the car, especially after where we started Saturday. The progress that we made throughout, I feel like it's something that everyone can look back on and be proud of. So, it wasn't a good feeling, definitely didn't want to do that next run, but we had to, and we did what we had to do with the car. And, it was either going to work or it wasn't going to work, and it didn't work. So it is what it is.
Hey, there you go. Chase, go ahead. Get in here with Nolan.
Yeah, I'll say the one thing I did want to ask you, Nolan. I mean, you're a young guy. You're obviously, this isn't going to be your last time trying to attempt to make an Indy 500. But, I mean, for you going out there and doing what you did, what's one thing that you can say that you learned that you're going to carry forward with you now into that next opportunity that comes your way?
I learned so much all month. Like picking one thing is pretty tough, but I think, honestly, I feel like those 2 days of qualifying, really starting Friday, with where we were at, were the most difficult and like mentally challenging days of my life. And probably, I don't know if anything's ever going to top that. So I think that staying in the right mindset and pushing through for 3 days and like forgetting about everything else, forgetting about how difficult it was mentally and emotionally, and just focusing on the task at hand and focusing on getting better and improving, which we ended up doing. And that doesn't just go for me, that goes for everyone on the team, because we were all in that together and we were all, in a less than ideal situation, to say the least. So I think that, looking back on how everyone handled that and, how all of us pushed through that together, I think that was the biggest takeaway from it. And I think that the biggest lesson was, more the mentality than anything finite that I could, pick out and tell you.
That's good. No, I respect
all up
that.
Here.
Now I want to know, this is kind of more of a fun thing, maybe. I don't know, but like, what was your social media like after that Sunday? Like did you were the Instagrams, the Twitters, like was it wild to see the response? I mean, we had 1 million people watching qualifying. There was over over 1 million people were watching. We just saw the TV ratings that came out today. I mean, a ton of people were watching. Did you see a lot of kind people out there on the world? Did you see the response? Was it kind of wild to see?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't check anything for a little while.
That's all right. That's okay.
Pretty smart. Yeah.
The internet's a scary place sometimes, and
horrible place. I'm in the weeds. It's bad. Don't ever go there.
No, like needed to wait until I was like ready to see the horrible things that people were going to be putting out there. But no, for the most part, like once I did look at everything, it was really, really nice to see, the support from everyone, and like, it's nice to see positive messages from all kinds of people. I think the biggest thing, like seeing, notification from you and from, people in the paddock that I know and respect, and that was, I think, the nicest part of it. And, I feel like the IndyCar paddock is a really, really nice place, and it's such a cool environment, and everyone's so supportive for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
So it was a nice feeling to see everyone's messages, and grateful to.
Graham had a lot of nice words. Graham said some great things as well. That had to have been cool.
Yeah, no, and again, Graham is someone that I've looked up to for a long time, and I've known Graham for a while, but he's always been, we haven't spent that much time together, but he is definitely a role model for me, and looked up to him since I first started racing. And to have Graham have nice things to say and be so supportive was really, really nice. And all of you guys that I've been watching in IndyCar since I started on the road to Indy, and it's nice to have nice messages coming in, and have people that I respect and have watched for so long kind of recognize the situation that we were in, and reach out and offer their support. It was really nice.
I like that. Chase, you got one more here for Nolan?
Yeah, I just want to know. So I'm expecting you'll be there this weekend. What's one thing you'd want to tell the listeners and the fans that Nolan likes to do on an Indy 500 weekend? What's something that maybe you do the fans?
I'll be at the race. I'm in California now. I came back home for 2 days. I'm going back on Thursday. I figured it would be nice to just like step away, take a couple days, reset, come back, and watch you guys tear it up. But no, I'll be there watching. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited. It'll be, obviously I would love to be more involved in the race, but it'll be my first time being at all involved. So I think there's going to be a lot to learn from Kat and everyone at Dale Coyne, and I'll spend as much time as I can watching and learning. And, hopefully if I'm back next year, then I'll be able to use some of that when I'm actually driving.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Nolan, what are you excited for? What's coming up next? Are you obviously Detroit? Are we Indy NXT? We're back in action. What's your IndyCar schedule? You have more IndyCar races, right? Am I correct in saying that?
You are. So I'm scheduled to do Toronto.
Yes.
So looking forward to that. That'll be good. At least this wasn't the the last one.
The last hurrah. Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be back with the boys and girls at Dale Coyne Racing. Good group there.
Yep. But no, excited for Detroit. That was good and bad weekend for me last year. But for the most part, good weekend last year, and looking forward to being back there, being back with HMD. It'll be nice to be back in Indy next. Certainly still a lot of pressure, but slightly lower pressure than the last days. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And looking forward to getting back into it. I think it'll be, better to get back into it, forget about everything, not dwell on it so much, Won't cry myself to sleep after Detroit, I hope so.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited for you, man. I think the Indy NXT Championship right now is extremely competitive. There's a lot of good drivers out there. I've got to think it's cool for those guys. I was sitting there with Jacob Abel, watching you do your thing out there. Obviously, he's one of your main competitors there for the championship. Just a quick, we've had a couple Indy NXT guys on, and girls. We had Lindsay Brewer on as well. Let us know what do you think the outlook real quick for the championship rest of the season. I mean, tight. It's a battle. Yeah. What are you looking forward to most? And how are you feeling about your championship kind of run so far?
I'm feeling good so far. We're still early, but it's pretty cool to have such a competitive championship when, the series has grown so much over the last couple of years. I feel like this year having, I feel like we've got five people at least that are like in the championship hunt right now. And I assume that will maybe grow as we go further into the season. So it's pretty cool to have that many people that are, really in the hunt for it. And it's super tight between Jacob and I right now. Looking forward to racing him more. We've raced each other for the past couple years, and he's someone that I'm sure it's nice to have people that you're competing with that like you can trust racing with, and that
absolutely
you feel like will race you clean and have respect. And it's fun racing guys like that. So I'm looking forward to being in the championship fight with him. Just because I feel like however it turns out, we're going to race each other hard and fair, and that's always fun. So looking forward to it.
Who have you enjoyed? Actually, that was actually a great answer. On the IndyCar side, who do you not trust, and who do you enjoy racing with so far on the IndyCar side?
I've only done one real race, I guess, 2 races.
There was thermal. There was thermal too.
I really enjoy racing. Like, the higher the level, I feel like it's more aggressive and it's more competitive, but it also gets more respectful. I feel like people are sure of themselves. They don't need to like be doing any stupid stuff. They've learned their lessons.
I've seen a couple clips that might say otherwise, but we'll see.
I'm talking generally here.
Yeah.
But no, I've been. Let's see, who have I really been around? I've been around Santino in both races for whatever reason. We both ended up like kind of battling it out for whatever position we were in either race. But
did you see the Santino and what did you think of the Santino Grosjean race activity?
Yeah.
Were you behind that? Were you in front of that? Did you see that?
I saw it. I was watching. I saw him go into, what was it, turn 12 at Indy side by side. And I was like, oh boy,
good times.
You saw that coming from a mile away. They went into the brakes, and I was like, yeah, he's going. But
I loved it. We love it.
I respect it. They have their rivalry going, and then they're not giving each other anything. So that's what's cool about IndyCar, is that they let you race like that, right? And they let you figure it out for yourselves, which I enjoy watching. So hopefully, if I end up in that situation, I end up on the good side of it. But
I hope so too.
You guys should be ready, dude. Be ready,
I'm ready. I have a funny Renus quote if you want me to.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it. I want to hear everything. We love the honesty on the show.
At St. Pete, I was going to Packy in the ECR trailer, and Renus walked in, and he said something because I was going to do thermal, and said something about enjoying my first race or whatever, and I was like, oh, take it easy on me, Renus. And he just, like, after laughing, like, straight face, he just goes, no, absolutely not. It's like,
no.
All right, here we go.
There you go. Welcome to the octagon, son. Yeah, his elbows out. No one cares about you. Oh, you're on the track. It's everyone's an enemy. So that's welcome to the octagon.
Yeah, like, we're friends now. We're not going to be friends anymore when it comes to it. But no, it's been fun. I haven't gotten the chance to really like be in big packs with a lot of different guys yet. But hopefully at Toronto I'm in the mix, and get to see how more people race.
I love that. Well, Nolan, I appreciate you for doing this. I literally text you, and you're on the West Coast, and it was probably very early, and that was disrespectful of me. I even called you. I asked CR Cruz last night for your number. I left you a voicemail this morning. If you got that one, that was me. I did leave you a voicemail.
We should play it.
I thought I got ignored right out the gate. I literally called you while I was in the car with my girlfriend. No, it's fine. It's fine. And I was like, he probably has no idea who's calling him. So I appreciate you for joining this show. And for those who are listening as well, and you don't know Nolan Siegel, you will know him in the future. So yeah, man, appreciate you for doing this. And we'll see you in the IndyCar again. And we will also be seeing you in the Indy NXT Championship, fighting for it. So we appreciate you, man. Good job doing what you did. And hey, it's a tough game we're out here playing, and I know you'll get another shot at it. You deserve another shot at it. You're a good young driver, and I think that's going to be cool. So we appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Connor. Really appreciate it, and good luck this weekend. I'll be there cheering for you.
Heck yeah, we appreciate that. Thanks, man. Really appreciate Nolan Siegel for being on the show. Thank you guys for listening to that episode. This episode. Two guests. I actually love having two guests, two completely different genres, racing driver, musical artist. We hope we're going to get some new music fans that maybe just tune into this podcast for the first time. Who knows? We shall see. But really appreciate Nolan Siegel. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing his honesty, hearing what he thought about strapping into that rocket ship and putting his life on the line to get into the Indy 500. Drove that sucker until she hit the wall. So you know what? Sometimes that's what you got to do. And I got to give Catherine Legg, his teammate, credit too, because she almost crashed that sucker as well, trying to make the field. And I don't think people are giving her enough credit for the save that she had on her qualifying run. That was wild. So shout out to the women in motorsport, Catherine Legg. Great to see her make the field. She is pitted right in front of me. Let's do a quick pit box chat. I am the first pit box in pit lane. I've got an open in, but Catherine Legg's right in front of me, then Marcus Ericsson. So I am the very, very first pit box. I'm actually very happy to have gotten that pit box. An open in is very, very helpful.
I'm excited for you. That's huge.
First pit box is good.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm very excited we got that. But yeah, quick shout out to the Dale Coyne Racing team. Hey, you got one on the show. Let's get it. So with that, we're going to bring this very, very long episode to an end with the random Indy 500 driver of the week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. We'll make up the field.
Ricky Treadway, random Indy 500 driver of the week. Very excited for this. This is the Indy 500 special. We're going to do a live year, Chase. I'm going to have Chase give me a live year. We're going to do this live in front of you guys. It's not really live because this is a recorded episode, but Chase, give me a year right now to go to. Use your big brain to give me a year of the Indy 500 to search for.
1969.
1969.
Summer of 69.
Indianapolis 500. That was won by Mario Andretti, of course. We
Amen.
know the 1969 winner. All right, let's get into this. We're gonna scroll down the results sheet. Let me check on who. Let me do a live document search. Okay, hang on. I want to before I say the name. I think I found one.
We're going to play the song while you're getting it together. Just got my purse
No, I'm
with
just kidding.
6 string.
Man, we got a lot of big names in this one. A lot of big names. Maybe have we done this one?
Summer of 69.
Chase, talk about something while I'm finding this name here.
Oh, yeah. I was doing a karaoke cover of Summer of 69. Great song. Got my purse with 6 string.
We might get like a copyright ban if we sing songs.
Oh, no, dude. They can't copyright these vocals, bro.
Yeah,
these vocals
true. Okay,
right here.
I found one. This is a new one. I think this is a new one for us. I did not know this name, and I think this is new, so this is good. All right, let's go with the 33rd place finisher. Didn't even look like he left the grid, it looks like. Didn't even get a single lap in. I know how he feels. He did 0 laps in this race. Bruce Walkup. Whoa. Is our 33rd place finisher. Bruce Walkup in the Thermo King Auto Air Conditioner sponsored wagon. Let me put Bruce Walkup into Google.
It's a big baseball guy right there, right out the womb, dude.
Yeah, I should have been. Yeah, Bruce Walkup is a retired American race car driver. Is he still alive? It says he's 79 years old, so Bruce Walkup's still alive. Looks like,
Bruce,
we hope.
Where you at?
I already love this. First of all, the Wikipedia is very short. Bruce Walkup, a retired American race car driver. It doesn't actually say how many IndyCar races or Indy 500s he was in, which is kind of wild. Maybe we can hang on, Bruce. Let me do a different one. Bruce Walkup. His Wikipedia does not. Let's say driver stats. It looks like Indy 500 career, two starts in the Indy 500, 1969 and 1970. Best finish of 29th. That's tough stuff. But this is kind of a funny little fact. Let's do a fun fact. Bruce Walkup, former president of the Indiana State Fair Board.
Whoa!
I love the Indiana State Fair. I didn't know Bruce Walkup was the president of the Indiana State Fair Board. State Fair
that guy, dude. Definitely gotta like festival food, man. Like
absolutely.
Corn dogs, pizzas.
There we go.
Funnel cakes.
Love that. Big funnel cake guy, Bruce Walkup, unconfirmed funnel cake guy. President of the Deep Fried Oreos Association, a.k.a. the Indiana State Fair Board. So,
amen.
That's pretty cool. We like to know that. Bruce Walkup, 33rd place finisher in the 1969 Indianapolis 500, and that was our Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week. Hey, we appreciate you folks for being here. Watch the Indy 500. Guess what? This is the greatest week in all of sports. People can argue that. I would disagree with them. This is the greatest week in sports. We got a lot of media going on this week. Tons of stuff happening before
whole
Carb
Sunday
Day.
of racing from morning till night.
Quick. I am not going to be in the pit stop competition. We thought we were going to be. Dry Ramble Racing is normally in that, which is a shame. But this has become such a coveted trophy that all the teams that are in it are using their road course cars, and they immediately have an advantage on our team because our team has to use our Indy 500 race car. And so therefore we are not even able to potentially have as much an advantage. Even if we did a faster stop, their car might accelerate quicker because it's a road course car. And
sounds like a big gray area.
It is a bit of a gray area. So I hate to see that for us. These guys normally love to compete in the Indy 500 pit stop competition, but we will not be doing that. So sadly, I thought I was going to, but we will not because, again, we're saving our race car. We want to make sure that we don't have any issues. And you know what? I understand that. We think that we have two cars capable of winning this race, so we will not be doing the pit stop competition, which sucks because everyone else doesn't have to use their race cars, but we get it. So anyway, that is what it is. Just want to let people know that. But we will talk to you guys after the Indianapolis 500, the greatest race in the history of the planet. I hope to talk to you guys afterwards as a winner of this race. We don't know. Next time we talk to you, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it goes well. It is going to go well. It's going to be a great, amazing race. We're going to win this sucker. Let's cheer for the polka dot number 24 Chevrolet. We appreciate you guys. Say hi to Chase. He's going to be at the track. He's going to be there hanging out.
I'll be eating a corn dog somewhere. Just come find me. Got to represent Louisiana. Big corn dog guy.
So anyway, thank you guys for listening to Speed Street. We'll see you guys on the other side. We'll see you guys on the other side of the Indianapolis 500. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.